All right, welcome back, everybody. Sam's Army, episode 2.268. We got a lot to talk about this week, but we're gonna keep ourselves to one thing and one thing only. We're gonna try some new things with the new podcast format here. This time, we're gonna keep it restricted to U.S. men's national team and the predicament that we find ourselves in 1,000,000% through our own making after having lost tonight at home to Panama 2-1. So lots of ifs, buts, asterisks, etc. Woulda, coulda, shouldas, but it doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is we got to beat Uruguay on Monday in Kansas City. So let's dig in. Before we do that, let's have a little continuity with the other episodes, and we're gonna do intro questions. But here's the catch here, boys. One-word answers. Okay, we're keeping this real short and sweet. Tommy knows all about this, so we're gonna start with him. Tommy McGunner. Welcome back. As always, good to see you. Nice shades, looking very Bono-esque. The question for you should be used to this, actually. Loudoun United, what's your playoff chances at the moment?
They're up.
Up. Okay, we'll go with that. I like that. Tyler Terrens, one-word answer, Mets season.
We're up.
Okay. Thought you were going to go Grimace, but we'll go with up. Okay. Mikey Podcast, a.k.a. Mikey Fowler. One word to describe Philadelphia so far.
I'm up.
First of all, you guys. All right. That's a good start. Great start. Very appropriate. All right. Let's get into this. U.S. men's national team. I mean, listen, I'm embarrassed right now. I'm embarrassed. I'm ashamed. I'm mad, frustrated, disappointed. We lost at home to Panama, as I said, 2-1. The headline is all that really matters, right? We have to beat Uruguay on Monday. Otherwise, we are going home, or we're already at home. So we're just going to go back to the couch. But let's discuss this game, and then we'll discuss Uruguay quickly. Tyler, let's start with you. Where do you want to start? What do you want to talk about here? I love your hat, by the way.
Thank you. This is unacceptable. I'm sick to my stomach. What? Why?
How?
Tim Weah, why? How did we let it get to this point? Why do we look like a bunch of lost puppies when we go down a man? Like, none of those guys have ever seen that before. Why is everything so sloppy out of the back, even when we're at 11 aside? Why is Ivan Barton allowed anywhere near a major competition?
Facts.
Stop. I'm not pinning any of this on the referee.
100%. Not his fault.
He lost control of the game the moment that he didn't give that clown a yellow card for the challenge on Matt Turner. He lost control the moment. And I said to you guys at 6:02 p.m. when I realized he was the referee of the game, I said, buckle up. He's a clown. Mm-hmm. But all of that aside, we are in a major competition. We showed our age. We looked like puppies. We've had two major disciplinary issues in the qualifying leading up to this tournament in Serginho Dest, and now in a major tournament to put our livelihood at stake. There's only one person where that buck stops, and his name is Gregg fucking Berhalter when it comes to disciplinary issues and setting that sort of tone. I'm going to take a wild leap of faith as to what's gone on in the locker room since Gregg's been rehired. I think the players saved him, and I think the players went to bat for him when they were looking for a new coach, and I think that they said, we want to keep him. Federation said, great, we'll hire him again. The players have too much power. They're not afraid of their own head coach. Gregg doesn't have any control over the locker room in terms of setting the tone and demanding a culture of respect, and the players think they're too big for their britches. The top 14 players within this U.S. men's national team side, nobody thinks that they're replaceable. Nobody thinks that their job is in jeopardy. Outside of maybe a starting 11 job here and there. There's 14 players who have an execution of stay because the gap between the guys who actually get playing time and the guys who don't is too big. And I think that we're seeing the fruits of that labor right now. We're going to have to burn this whole thing to the ground because we ain't beating Uruguay. It's not happening. You might get a draw and you might sneak through with a goal differential. Do we look like a team that's worthy of beating Uruguay? Do we have that? Do we get that sense? Because we drew a bad Brazil team Did that look like a team today, down a man, that showed any sort of class or composure against an opponent that we see regularly? This isn't Ecuador. This isn't Chile. This isn't Peru. This is motherfucking Panama, who we see every single year in some way, shape, or form. Why did we look surprised?
Okay. I don't disagree with pretty much anything you said right there, other than the fact that I have a bit of a more encouraged perspective on the team when we're at 11 men. When we have 11 guys on the field, I think that, at least that was my feeling, this is just a matter of, taking care of business. I wasn't scared of this game when we had 11 men.
We don't operate in a vacuum where we're just always going to have 11 players on the field. We're up against an opponent. They got underneath our skin. They tried to use Ivan Barton to their advantage, and it fucking worked. And Gregg even said before the game that he let them know that this guy's diabolical, and they still fell for it.
Last time Tim Weah took the field against Panama, there was a red card in the last minute of the last time he stepped on the field. They have to be more aware of the fact that that's coming right off the bat. Have to.
Yeah, it's inexperience. Like that's what comes with this youth and everything else.
They would never do that for their club team. They would never do that for their
ever.
Club.
The standards are higher. They're held to a different standard, and you're right about that.
I think that's a fair statement. Tommy, what are you thinking here on the red card on Ivan Barton? We don't even need to talk about it. We all agree he's a clown. He's not up to the standard that we need for a game like this, but it's not his fault we lost. It's just not. So
for those who don't know, that's the referee, by the way. I don't know if you said that.
Yeah.
Well, I'd say two things, and they kind of dovetail. First is, when you're the superior nation, you have to understand that they're going to use the ref. And they started that game like a team that was playing for 10 men looking for a draw. Like, that is how they set up. And you have to quickly realize that and not let it get to the point where he has to make a decision, whether it's by keeping the ball in play, like spot and play, just like play at your own tempo. And the second thing that I said, which I might have texted you guys, I'm sure that the vision of the U.S. soccer is to be the top team in the region, the top team in the Western Hemisphere, and the top 5 team in the world regularly. They did not look like a team that has the mentality to play like that consistently from generation to generation. And the case study that I was using is, okay, if you put Germany, Spain, Brazil, Argentina, those are the teams that the U.S. is looking to be like, and market-wise probably should be like eventually. If they're down for 70 minutes, they're not sending everyone forward at every possible goal kick and slowing down the game, going for long throws. Like, there is some sort of culture or mentality where they're like, no, even when we are the superior nation with 10 men, we are going to try to impose ourselves on this game. And it's the same for top club teams, which a lot of these guys play for. Like, a lot of these guys have probably been in this situation in a club setting, but for the dominant team where they're like, no, we're not kind of changing the way we're playing up until maybe the 60th or 70th minute. And that was, I think, the more frustrating thing for me was, I actually think, like, given the mentality that they had, they did it pretty well. They didn't give up many chances. They defended like side to side really well and were committed. Like, you can't fault them at that. The big thing for me is the mentality and how early you set up shop. And that was the thing that was most frustrating watching.
Yeah.
We felt like
we gave up the equalizer 4 minutes after scoring the goal.
Yeah.
Clint said it immediately as soon as the post-game back started in the studio.
Yes.
Spot on. You just got like an extra life. A banger from Balogun, a moment of sheer individual brilliance, which you felt like you were going to need probably in the 85th minute if you were going to come away for a win. You got it immediately after you just shot yourself in the foot. You can't let that go to waste.
Like how many times in the second half did you see them string 3 or 4 passes together and then
Never
foul and get up the field? There was only once, and it was Pulisic.
One time. There was one time.
Twice, and he went on a dribble for around 2 people.
It should be 70-30 when we're 11-11 and 50-50 when we're 10-11.
Yeah, like, I think if it, and against a CONCACAF team, you are that dominant nation. Like, you are that team that is capable of keeping the ball 10v11. And there was no, granted, I think some of the subs, like, I do think when you sub your goalie and also you sub a center back in and switch to a back five for one of your more creative players, you're just telling the players.
And Turner should have gone off earlier. He should have known he was hurt because him pushing off to try to save that was weak. He clearly wasn't set. He clearly was injured, and he needs to recognize that. I know it's easier said than done, and every competitor is going to want to stay on the field. But like, if you feel like you're not at 100%, I'm sorry. Like, he's not that good to the point where we need him on the field as opposed to an Ethan Horvath. Although Horvath should have saved it. It's right.
Yeah, 100% should have saved it. Sam, not to take your thunder on the question here, but if we're going to talk about substitutions and situations, and that leading to what the players feel on the field, would you have made a change after the red card?
Like right away?
Would you have changed your system?
No. I thought the Geo thing that was like, I think a lot of people would be like, oh, okay, that makes sense. You bring on
you have Musa
for someone who's more of like I don't want to say he's just a luxury player, but probably the closest thing to a luxury player, 11v11. But then you do that and bring on a center back. Like for me, it's one or the other.
Yunus Musa not featuring in that game is diabolical.
I'm done with that.
Diabolical. How is it that
out of something on the dribble?
How is it that everybody except for Gregg views him as an almost irreplaceable player?
He's the most valuable player in the U.S. squad.
Agreed. Top 3, easy.
So is that the biggest complaint you have about Berhalter's?
No, my biggest complaint is the Balogun sub.
I would say it's Musa not featuring.
Mine is, this is great that we all have, and probably telling that we all have 3 different things, is the mentality shift to 2 defensive at half. Just that, like, for me, just sent the wrong message. Like,
I'm fucking so done with Pepe. It's not even funny.
All right. Jeez. Okay. You guys just wound through pretty much all the questions we had right here. And I'm like going through, we're getting all these responses on Instagram from the question I put up, just asking people's hot takes. I'll give a couple of these and you guys can respond.
I will, before we do the hot takes, because I'm going to add a ounce of positivity here.
No, don't even fucking try.
I'm going to say, we've talked about with the Euros, a lot of these big teams losing matches or tying matches that they shouldn't be in the group stage. This is the US's one fuck up in a major
tournament. Portugal lost to Georgia when they already had the knockout round locked up. Like, I don't know.
I'm not saying third place doesn't fucking get in here.
Netherlands, Austria, like some of these other ones.
Agreed. Third place doesn't get in. Agreed. And
yeah,
I don't want to play that card, but I'm going to play that card. We're a nation of 330 million people. That's a nation of 4 million. That's a nation half the size of New York City. That's 2.5 boroughs of New York City.
I know 2.5 boroughs of New York City. You could have put 11 guys out there who would have stayed on the pitch the whole time.
Agreed.
Hey, you know what's ironic is the one guy who got sent off the pitch is from one of the boroughs.
I know. And can I say something quickly though? Like, this is going to be the big debate coming out of this, is whether Gregg gets the quote unquote pass for Weah's action. Like, Weah's actions might have become the storyline over Gregg's decision making post Weah, but there's a way you get a result of that game and you keep it alive and make goal differential end your night, and we didn't even get there.
I think it's the opposite. I think it's highlighted it to a greater extent than if it was 11v11.
I think the discourse you're going to see is a lot of like, we can't blame Gregg because of Weah's actions.
Not as many people. People aren't as smart as you, Tommy.
That's going to be very interesting to see.
He's getting exposed. That was a good opportunity for him to be a coach and to manage the game, and he didn't fucking do it.
Yeah, I whether you subscribe to one side or the other on that debate, I think it doesn't matter. If we don't get out of the group, Gregg's got to go. That's just it. Like, well, shit happens in soccer games, especially in knockout tournaments or, group stage, whatever. Shit happens. Okay. And if you don't get out, you got to go.
I heard a good quote about Southgate is that the England job should be a 4-year job. I feel the same way about
I
the
feel
United
like a lot
States
of people say that about every national team. It should
How
be
many-
a four
how many
year.
How many national teams have given their coach 2 World Cups? How many?
It's the second cycle.
Well, I
That's
would
a
say
thing.
It's a
most of them-
4-year job.
Most of them that have had that is because they're major nations and they won it, and then they bomb out in the group stage the next time.
Right.
Like it is part of, even for these top nations, it is still part of a life cycle.
But
Like,
how many of important teams? Didier Deschamps. Who else?
you have Yogi Love.
Okay.
Vicente Del Bosque do it for Spain, or was he too old?
Yes.
Like,
Well, they won 3 tournaments in a row, so
Yeah.
I doubt. Yeah.
so I think he was there.
Oh, good news, guys. Tim Weah moving forward is committed to learning from this experience.
Thank God.
Klinsmann was a 2-cycle guy.
Who was
Right, another failure.
Who was Italy after 06 and into 2010? Because didn't they win in 06 and they made it to the final in 10?
Yeah, but they failed to qualify in 08.
I don't think they would have had the same coach at that point. I feel
No.
like
It's
Anyway.
a 4-year gig. Yeah, I mean,
They did not make the final. It was confusing, the final that they beat France with as two.
If I'm Matt Crocker, if you didn't already pick up the phone and dial Jurgen's number, you should be on the phone with him tomorrow morning.
Which Jurgen are we talking about?
which Jurgen you talking about right now?
flop.
Which Jurgen do you think I'm talking about right now?
I hope
I
you're
just
talking
want- I
about
just want to be
Klopp.
clear which one you're talking about.
Honestly, at this point, we're not too far away from bringing back Klinsmann.
I swear to God, I've been saying this for fucking years. It's Jose Mourinho in 26 or nobody.
It's funny. I actually got multiple responses here on Instagram saying Pepper Klopp.
All right, let's go to the hot takes. I want to hear what the people
All
have to
right,
say.
let's get you
Yeah, come
guys
on.
can respond to some of these. Let's see. If Gregg, that doesn't make any sense. This team is immature, can't handle physical games, and get triggered easily from Charlie. From Charlie Juan Carlos.
Yeah.
Aravello.
Look at. I mean, Weston McKennie is an emotional player.
I mean,
Tim
listen,
Weah.
I was gonna say, who
Emotions-
isn't? Look at
emotions
this
not-
team. Adams,
Emotion's not a bad
Pulisic,
thing.
Dest.
No, but these aren't the right emotions. And
Yeah,
I think you know that, Tommy.
I would say Christian's an emotional guy, but like we'll do it by like flying around the field, like running his ass off.
We're not going into a scuffle with his hands because you know
Yes.
any sort of hands to the face,
Totally.
head, or back of the
big
neck.
move play.
Anthony Robinson's an emotional player that's intelligent. I think Tim Ream's the same way.
Every athlete, for the most part, is emotional. The only one who I can't think of is like Tim Duncan. That man never showed any emotion, and he was
Right.
one of the best competitors.
That's a good shout. Yeah.
Yeah. But the rest, I mean, it's not even a hot take. We have a couple guys in this team that will cost us matches when they're out there.
And I, like
Because they don't, because there's no respect for the bad and there's no respect for what they're doing. And that's set out by the coach.
I wouldn't have said
They
that.
never do that for the club team.
They're not scared of him.
Nobody's scared of him because he wasn't supposed to get the job.
Okay. You guys mentioned this earlier. I don't think fear is how you manage these guys at all. Like, I think it is far from what's
No. Okay, hold on.
There's a thin line between fear and
respect, like respect and ruthlessness for me, for sure.
I'm
Like,
sorry. What semantics? I meant respect. Nobody, and that was the first thing that came out of my mouth. Nobody respects the bag. Nobody respects who they're playing for and what they're playing for. And I don't want to say nobody. That's a hyperbole. Obviously, there are guys who are going about it the right way, but there's too many of these guys. And if you look at them, it's guys who maybe haven't been around it as long. I mean, Way has been there for a while. I mean, Serginho Dest was brought in, but like, I just, when you take a look at those things, which are quote unquote intangibles, there's only one place where that stops for me. And that's the coach. That's the coach and the culture that's created, because it needs to be an intense culture for all intents and purposes. You only get the guys 7 or 8 times a year, if that.
Isn't it crazy that Brendan Aronson is behind Weah and for all intents and purposes could be just as useful to an 11 in this tournament, and Weah feels no fear at all about being replaced by Brendan Aronson?
I mean,
He probably felt more fear a year ago or 2 years ago.
How many people feel that in their position?
None of them.
Just like any of them.
Right. And that's what it is, really. I mean,
Maybe the
that's
center
what
back.
Tyler's getting at, is that the idea of like your place is like these guys it's a top heavy roster, right? Like these guys at the top are playing for the top and young players at major clubs and thinking, Tommy, you understand these guys a little bit better than either any of us do. Like they probably don't feel that touchable. And I think that shows when Weah does something like that.
I'd argue that one of the more consistent guys over the last 4 games has been Joe Scally, who's playing like he needs to earn his spot with every touch of the ball or every action.
Right. He's got Serginho Dest hanging over his shoulder.
There is a motivating factor behind that. And like, you just got to accept it. Like it's
even Chris Richards, who hasn't been playing lights out, probably doesn't really think that there's a realistic opportunity or a realistic chance that Miles Robinson is going to take his position away from him.
CCV.
And Chris has been bad.
CCV
I think Chris looked lost.
First fight, even when we were at 11 men.
He was lost for the first 15 minutes.
So
almost scored a goal though.
I think this is interesting with what you said about the culture and like what it means to play for the badge. That is, I think, objectively something that Southgate has done well. And I think there's a lot of parallels between like how people talk.
Well, they're scared to fuck up.
Is they've changed their culture and like what it means to play for England. Like that used to be so negative and everything. And like, it seems like they've bought into that a lot. Matt Crocker was part of that, who created that culture shift with Southgate.
Can I pose this question as far as the culture is concerned? And I know that I've heard other people who played for the national team will sort of debunk this almost immediately, but it kind of needs to be said. But the guy like Serginho Dest, who didn't grow up in the States, both he and Weah have been a part of the national team since they were like 16 or 17 years old. But they're just coming over here to play for the national. Like they're coming over here to play for the national team. Tim Weah has been playing over in Europe for quite some time now. Like these are guys who fly in and like maybe, and Pulisic will say that he was brought up by the American system. Weston McKennie was brought up by the American system. Yunus Musa obviously falls more into the bucket of the first 2 guys that I was talking about in terms of flying in, wasn't born in this country, the whole thing. Is there something to be said for that? That like, again, I think that it's more so to do with the level and the lack of depth and the talent disparity that exists within the roster, more so than what I just said. But is there any truth to that at all in terms of guys like not coming up to the system and therefore not respecting it as much when you pull on that badge?
So that's a great. I love the take and I love the idea of that. The counterpoint I would have, and this is follow me here, is Messi feeling stronger about Argentina than anything else in his life. And that starts with a culture from the top about your country being represented that flows down to guys that didn't have to play there to understand what it means to be from there. And there isn't really an American, like, even if the guys go overseas, that shouldn't be an indication of them not feeling as strongly about the badge when they play internationally. It should be some level of consistency from the top down that remains throughout their whole life about the standard of playing for America that just is not there.
But Messi was born and raised in Rosario, and some of his biggest mentors and getting started in the game exist within Argentina, or existed, and the guy who passed away. Like, he was still born there. Christian Pulisic is the closest thing to Messi in that regard in terms of the timeline. I mean, Messi only left Argentina about 3 years before Pulisic did in terms of how old he was. I mean, Messi left when he was 10 or 11, and Pulisic left when he was 13 or 14. So, like, Pulisic...
Our Dempsey Donovan team wins tonight.
So
Agreed.
I was about to get to that. So 2 things on that. I think that debate is fully valid. That, like, they're probably more talented now, but just the amount of people that, like, grew up played for the United States, like, was their childhood dream. I think it was greater then. And then to the point about Messi and Argentina, I think it goes further back than that. Like, that whole team, like, worshipped Maradona. And Messi's the closest thing to Maradona. So you're going to play for Argentina, but you're also going to play for the guy that you think's God. And I would probably say that the Messi and Pulisic are the closest things there. And you see him, probably Weston, Tyler, some of these other guys that, like, actually grew up in America. Like, they grew up watching the 2010 World Cup. They grew up watching Clint Dempsey score against Ghana.
The Spain game.
Like, those are the games they grew up watching, saying, "Oh, I want to be like that specific guy in that specific moment." Which it's hard to, I think, judge people negatively on not having that experience, but it's like for sure a motivating factor. Like,
Yeah, it has to do with this a little
I
bit.
want to be in that specific moment. I want to score that goal that wins us a World Cup game
for that country,
that
specific.
country.
Mhm.
Like, I think there's a difference between saying I want to score a goal in a World Cup as like a multinational versus.
Yeah, Messi didn't want to win the World Cup. He wanted to win Argentina a World Cup.
Yes, yeah, I think there's a very slight difference in that psychologically.
Well,
Didn't
we're
hurt
kind of-
Jermaine Jones.
We're arguing about sort of something that we can't fix this, right?
No.
Some of our most talented players weren't born. Well, if they were born here, they sort of spent their childhood somewhere else. We can't fix that, right?
I mean, we can.
That's the same thing as England.
It's in 15 years we can fix that.
Agreed, but maybe we're not as good as we think we are, or think we should.
It is, but it's like England turns it into a strength. So, like, I think you have to go down that route. Like, you have to turn this current reality into a strength.
And Tommy, I thought you were going to say the one silver lining was more so like everybody was putting so much emphasis on the Uruguay game, even if we had beaten Panama and like that was going to be the battle for the top of the group, right? This whole thing has come down to, can we beat a top 15 team?
Yeah.
Nobody talked about
Marcelo Bielsa team.
Nobody talked about how we got there, what the script looked like, and how bumpy the road was going to be. If we do beat Uruguay, everything that we're talking about and all of us griping about the very inner workings and the gizzards of our federation will, for the time being, be put to bed. So
you think that?
I think that it'll deter a lot of the initial conversation. Yes, because to Sam's point, I think the non-high brain thinkers will think, well, you know, Weah made a silly mistake, and then, you know, we were 11v11 against Uruguay, and here's what we can do. Now, I really, really, really hope that we do beat Uruguay. I'm obviously rooting for the national team, but by the eye test and by a lot of other things, and just sort of like the feel of this group, we do not have the feel and the mentality over the course of 90 minutes in a big tournament to beat one of these teams. We just don't look like it. So I'm not going to be terribly surprised if we lose 3-1 or if we lose 2-0 and we're on the ball 25% of the time and we're scrambling around running for our fucking lives. I'm not going to be surprised because we can't get the job done against Panama, and we can't avoid falling for the most simple and glaring traps of getting involved in a street fight with a team that shouldn't be on the same field as you.
Yeah, I am.
That's well said.
Very excited to watch this game because I think it'll do exactly what you said. Like, it'll realize your level with your back against the wall. Like, you got nothing else to do. Come out swinging.
I
be fun.
Cannot believe at all that Yunus Musa is not playing for this national team and not.
So who would you have put him in for to start this game?
Anyone,
Weston.
literally anyone.
I said it last week, Weston.
I'm serious. No. But especially going down a man. What's the one buzz phrase everybody talks about with Yunus Musa?
Box to box.
Box to box. What's the other one? Press resistant. You
Sure.
don't think that he turning out of a tight space while we're trying to string together 1 or 2 passes to start a counterattack while Panama's breathing down our necks for a solid 3 or 4 minutes, that he can't just split one line of initial pressure and get us going the other way? That's literally what he does.
Yeah, with 10 men, you need guys that can cover multiple positions and be more places than they're supposed to, and that's him.
You're spot on about that, Tyler. They could have used someone who could have beat one player on the dribble.
Well, play him in the feet and get him going, and then keep the ball and then cycle it back. Like, put good nations do. We didn't have any of them.
All right, let's respond to some of the hot takes we got here.
Yeah, we're at 30 minutes already, Sammy. So maybe 10 minutes of hot takes. And then
trying to slow you guys down here a little bit. All right, so absolute treason from Weah, shameful. Bench for the rest of the Copa if we advance.
Well, he's going to be suspended for multiple matches.
I agree. He should be benched for the rest of the tournament.
Yeah, but like that's not absolute treason.
No, he should go home though.
Like, shouldn't be executed.
Let's chill the fuck out.
I didn't say let's burn him at the stake and behead him like he's Ned Stark in the swamp.
Yeah, but okay, like that is where the fan base could be going. So let's.
Yeah, we're not doing that. We're not doing that.
Not England, okay? Let's take some pride.
No, but he should probably be.
He should go home. He should go
It's
home.
what's funny about that, Tyler, is that he should head home and fly back to the Western
New York.
Eastern Hemisphere.
Stop. That was from Riley Jones, by the way. Okay, so Jeffrey Marshall.
Oh, I like
Balogun's,
Riley Jones.
Balogun's sub was as detrimental to our loss as Weah's red card.
I have been saying this
No,
in the
what?
text.
Come
I
on.
said this. He was not working. So Greg said before the match in his head at 70, I'm taking off my striker. And he did it anyways.
No matter what. No matter what.
He did. I swear to God, he did. And at
no,
70,
I'm not saying I don't believe you. I'm just saying it's ridiculous.
Balogun provided your one moment of brilliance. He was good in the hold up play right before that and had a strike on goal or little off target in the build up one with Pulisic. That was your route to 3 points, if anything.
The take was that him getting substituted off was as detrimental to the result.
No, that's not true. But I think that the sub was benign.
Let's bring these down
I just wanted to make sure that we were on the same page about what the actual.
Yeah, no, fine. You're right.
Let's bring these down to like 3-word hot takes. It was not.
It was not. It was. Yes, is my opinion.
All right, Grayson Brewer. We need a super sub who is pacey. Cade Cowell, cough, cough.
Cade Cowell,
no.
Finished product is no.
Didn't he just commit to Mexico?
Yeah.
Did he? Good for
Or
him.
no, he's going to play in Mexico.
Yeah, but he's playing.
He did. He's been in Mexico.
He's playing for Chivas, and you have to commit to Mexico at that given moment to play for Chivas.
Oh, I didn't know that.
You have to be Mexican to play for Chivas.
So, do we need a Theo Walcott? No.
All right.
He still has to pay the cap, so theoretically he's still available.
Yeah, no, that was the same thing with Zendejas. That's part of why he left Chivas.
Got it.
And Zendejas has been great. Thumbs up. Keep going.
Isn't Weah that guy? Sorry, keep going.
Michael Milo. Hi, Milo. Oh boy. Miko Lakach. Check. Sorry, Michael. I fucked up your last name. Way too many C's and Z's and J's. Pepe needs to put that header away. Tough ball, a bit out of reach, but it needs to go in.
Tough ball.
Okay, tough ball. Why not head it? I think there has to be a better outcome than that. Why not head it back to Pulisic?
Was he open?
It's not Pepe's fault. He should have been on the bench.
It was a little high. He was kind of. Oh boy.
Did you say it was the pitch?
No, he should have been on the bench.
Oh gosh. Let's see. Two Shanes. Shane Andrews. Bolivia will beat Panama and will advance on goal differential. I love the optimism.
I said without Coco, this is going to be a much more interesting prospect because Bolivia keeps getting in, and the only person that can unlock anything in any way, shape, or form is Coco. I don't trust anybody else in that Panama team.
Right. And this is the late red card that Panama got against us, which, by the way, fuck that guy. Fuck Coco. That was bullshit. That play.
Nasty.
At first, I was like, wow, that's a red card. I'm not so sure about that. And then they showed again. It was like, fuck that guy.
10 years ago, that's a yellow card in a Stern.
Yeah, that's a Roy Keane. That's a Roy Keane yellow, baby.
In this day and age, that's a red all day, every day. And fuck that guy.
My answer to that question is stay off the weed.
Duh. Uruguay's going to hang 17 on us. Jim.
No, but Darwin's going to shoot 17 times.
All right, here's the deal. Darwin is going to turn the page on his finishing woes after Monday.
Yo, this game's a quick turnaround too.
It is. This is Monday. We play Uruguay in Kansas City. Probably going to be hot as shit. I may actually end up going to this game. I may have to go.
You should. Can I ask a question? Would you start Gio out on the wing and put Musa in the middle of the field and just have your best 3 in the middle of the field available and just put your best 11 on the field flat out?
So what would be the other suggestion? You have like a 2.
Aronson.
Yeah, I just stop at that suggestion. I like that one.
Aronson, let's keep that.
Aronson out on the wing. And then you have to make another decision on, and maybe Greg is like, oh, well,
4-4-2.
Yusuf was going to play 90 against Uruguay. I'm fine with that.
I got a hot take for you from Boz. I genuinely think Greg had a good tactical game. I think the players let him down. Specifically,
I will bail off here.
We'll never know what his tactical game plan was for the game.
I do think.
Hey, Boz, your tactics don't make any fucking difference if your emotional control doesn't matter.
I think he's saying the tactics after.
And I think he's wrong.
So there you go.
I would disagree, but I don't think the second part of his statement's wrong. Where like you still have to execute as players. Like it doesn't.
Well, you started this, Tommy, saying that the ball needs to be played a lot. Like just string 2 or 3 passes. Like
yeah, that's
this is going to sound crazy, but Donovan had a great point in the Euro with Georgia, right? If you make that first pass, the second one opens up.
Totally.
He said that, and it was very smart. And I thought about that the whole night tonight. Like when you get the ball, make that first pass, and the second one will open up, and then you can keep the ball. We never even looked for it.
However, if you miss that first pass, it's typically an on-rushing midfielder and somebody rolling up, and you're going to leave yourself exposed because people are going to start to step out, and then that's when the dam breaks in moments like that. So there is
No, you're right, but we couldn't draw that game either way.
Agreed. We had no interest in showing the like just a shred of class and composure. Zero interest in doing it. And even if Gregg's game plan was to hump it long, Christian or Anthony or somebody who plays at the Premier League or in Serie A, one of these incredible clubs that's playing Champions League football that we always talk about, grab the game by the scruff of the neck, say no for a moment, or just don't say anything, and just behave like you play in a top 5 league in the world.
Totally. This is the most we've ever gotten along, and it's because we fucking suck.
Undeniable.
We've come together in a spirit of hatred.
Hey, that's good. We're coming together.
First step in the right direction. All right. So let's say Uruguay's up 2-0 right now as we speak on Bolivia. Let's say they hang 4 on them. I mean, you can make an argument that that's a good thing for us because they basically could sleepwalk through their final group game.
Okay, no, let's stop that bullshit right there.
Don't even.
Bielsa is one of the most ruthless motherfuckers on this planet. Like,
yep.
No.
He will want to put a dagger in our federation's heart.
That is how his teams play.
Any fan that is heading or like hoping for that, just get that out of your mind.
He wants a Gregg Berhalter pelt on his wall in his office at home.
Yeah, he is ruthless.
And I swear to God, the guys on the bench for that team, Bentancur, like a bunch of Flamengo players, like
they're so good.
This team is not built to take a day off.
And they will all relish in the opportunity to be playing in the United States against the US and with a chance
to put them home.
To send them home and to send the entire federation into disarray before the World Cup.
Yeah, the more interesting conversation is whether Bolivia gives a fuck about playing Panama.
Yeah. That's like saying like Joe Mazzulla doesn't care about game 5 up 3-0 or game 4 up 3-0. Like these are sick fucks we're dealing with. They
yeah, these are not human beings.
Jackson Wells, Weah's red was somehow dumber than Dest's.
Yeah, it was.
No.
I don't think it was dumber, but it was more.
It was more blowing kisses. I don't think it was worse.
I think Weah's was less dumb, but more.
The moment was dumber. The moment was dumber. The way
that makes it dumber.
Okay, fine.
Like if you put like a chart,
you can stab a guy in the chest in a friendly. I don't give a fuck.
I'm not going to reason with that. Yeah, we'll just move on.
Okay, well, so we'll wrap it up here. Predictions for Uruguay:
2-1 loss,
3-1 loss.
I think we tie.
It's probably fair.
2-1 win.
You're going.
You're wearing like a South American off-brand USA jersey right now. Like
it's from the 80s, Tommy. You weren't even born yet. You don't know what you're talking about. Don't come into my generation, my realm, my era. Talk about the USA. Just
I will say,
like 1980s.
Sam is the best of us for a number of different reasons because, like, he actually still, I think, deep in his core, believes that we'll get a result out of it.
Yeah, he does. He really does.
And honestly, it's adorable, and it's the sort of youthful ignorance that you would expect from one of us clowns. But like to the fact that it goes to the near 50-year-old of the group, it's pretty.
Holy shit! Near 50-year-old, my God.
Closer to 50 than me.
Oh, Jesus, barely. Oh, that's ridiculous. I can't believe you just added a decade onto my life right there. That's fucked up.
Wait, is it a decade? Well, I know Eddie is almost 50. And I just
No,
thought
he's
you were
not. He's mid-40s.
He's 47 or 40. Shout out Eddie Rock if you're listening right now, homie G.
That's closer to 50.
Closer to
Yeah,
50.
47 is
It's
nowhere
closer to
close.
50
huh,
than
now?
you. That doesn't make it. Oh, Jesus Christ. You guys are aging everybody here.
No, just you and Eddie.
Oh, goodness gracious. Let's see. Anything else?
No, that's
I mean,
a lot.
We got a lot of the hot takes off.
How am I supposed to get my heart rate down before bedtime?
Beer.
Yeah, I don't know. I
Watch
don't
the
know.
debate.
I'm gonna try Pacificos and see if that does the trick.
Is this our worst loss since Trinidad?
Yes. Emphatically.
Yeah. I mean,
I would have lost 5-1 again to Brazil to have won that game.
oh yeah. I mean, listen, the 5-1 to Brazil, that's
AKA stab somebody in the chest in front.
5-1 to Colombia, by the way. 5-1 to Colombia.
Yeah.
That was nothing. That was nothing. Trinidad and Tobago is, next level. This is right there with it. This was like, there's this asterisk, right? The red card, but at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. That does not matter.
This is also the same Panama team that kicked our shit in Gold Cup a couple of years ago. They weren't afraid of
B
us.
team, but
B team, though.
I don't care. They beat whoever was repping the United States.
Yeah, they got under our skin because they got in a fight with us in the 5-1 loss before that, right at the end. And Weah just like came in hot.
And that's not even the best Panama team that I've seen in the past like 8 or 9 years.
They're missing Godoy, man. I love Godoy.
That's what Godoy's like. He's one of the most underrated midfielders in MLS, let alone in CONCACAF.
It's a bad loss. Like, there's no doubt about it. And in a different mental frame of mind, I would try and excuse it with like red cards and stuff like that. We can't. It's not. It's a loss. We lost to Panama at home in a competition that matters. And that's really all that matters. And now we just got to beat Uruguay. And none of you jokers, youthful jokers, think that we can do it. I think we can do it. I think we can beat Uruguay on Monday. We're going to do it. So F you. Take that.
God bless you. Bring that type of energy to the mahjong table tomorrow.
Good luck. Good luck to everybody.
All right. We've already gone long past what we said we were going to do. So Mikey, Tommy, you're good? You got something to add there?
Yeah, just everyone listen at 1.25 speed. We'll get it done in 30 minutes.
Here we go. Mikey, Tommy, Tyler, Mitch couldn't be here. You guys are the best. Everybody who's listening, today sucked, but tomorrow's another day, and Monday is going to be another win. So let's go get it. We'll be back on either Monday night or maybe Tuesday with another episode, bigger, better, faster, stronger. Talk to you guys then.